Alrighty, using the phone today. And I'm gonna see. Because I have my computer in front of me. So I don't know how the chat pops up on the phone. Again, first time using the phone. Looks like Weekender 38. What's going on, brother? Can you hear me? I think you can, because it comes through on my side. And maybe having my computer in front of me is going to be a little bit of a distraction, but we'll see. Beauteous. Yeah, I can see them pop up. I can see them pop up here. It's like Inception. Cool. Just going to wait a couple minutes. Let a couple other people join. Hope everyone's had a wonderful day. Frankie and Maui, hello. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Miss you guys. And let's see. Darren, what's going on, brother? New Liskard. You know what? It's so funny. I got a good buddy that, so his wife is from New Liskard. And he typically goes up there and walleye fishes and tells me all about and kind of raves and rants about the walleye fishing up there. And then, you know, I spent 5 years up in Red Lake, and you know, I go up there and then I'm sending him photos of like 29-inch walleye, and he's like, okay, yeah, so it's better fishing in Red Lake. But, you know, he goes out there and smacks them. Like it's, I can't remember what lake he goes on. He goes on with his father-in-law. Big storm in the southeast, 57. Oh, wow, heavy rain. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we finally got snow. Winter hit us finally. It just took us into the new year to get, you know, things cold and whatnot. I haven't got the sled out yet. I've been meaning to. The cool thing is just before, I guess it was before New Year's. It was about I don't know. Let's see. I got back from my deer hunt. It was in November. Anyways, it doesn't really matter. Mid-November, I went for a walk in the back 40. And we had a little bit of skiff of snow. And so, long story short, when I came to look at this house, walked back, the first thing we did was the realtor's like, what do you want to go, like see the house or see the property? And I'm like, obviously see the property. Walk back, and he's like, oh, like, and there's snowmobile trails and stuff that the prior owners had made. And so we're walking along the hard packed snow, and it's like kind of early spring. And he's like, hey, watch out for the dog poop. I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on here. And I look down, I'm like, yeah, brother, that's not dog poo. That's wolf scat. And he's like, how do you know? And I saw him today, and I was telling him about my New Year's Day hunt with Franklin. And oh, Tubby Guy Outdoors, you are an absolute beauty. $6.99. You know what? If you would have done $2, I would have been like, that's a coffee or tea. Oh man, appreciate the love, brother. Thank you. Anyways, so yeah, I was telling the realtor, I saw him today. I was picking up a couple things, and I was telling him about the New Year's hunt and how I went ice skating for the wolf. And yeah, just one of those things that you know, you hop on the skates, you have this plan, and you're like, I don't know if this is going to work, but yeah, and it's like I watched that video and I'm still like, I'm not shaking now, but like I like had that adrenaline rush again. Like I've edited it and I watched it, I pre-watched it because I dropped a bunch of F-bombs. So I had to literally like kind of censor myself a little bit just because as much as I want to be myself and as much as I don't care about swear words, my belief is they're just words. But at the same time, like I don't want to influence the younger crowd. So yeah, I would just rather keep it clean. And it's, you know, it's wolf hunting. So it's like, you got to be excited. And you know what? I will swear, I'll just blank it out. Oh man, I can't even keep up with these messages. Weekender 38. Yeah, man. So it's windy there in the southeast US. Yeah, it's windy here. It's been like cold. It was -20 the other night. Actually, the roads were horrible. We had a big transport truck get sucked into the ditch like a couple K down from the house and took out like 5 hydro poles. But it's all cleaned up now. The sad thing is, which I should have checked. I went down there and checked the collision site, and it was a Sobeys truck. And or was it a Sobeys truck or a Metro truck? I think it was Metro, the red Metro truck. And anyways, it was full of groceries, and they're like everywhere. And what I should have looked for was like wolf tracks, because there was a bunch of meat and stuff everywhere, but I didn't even think of it. Rural prepper. He's saying hello from, oh gosh, I'm gonna butcher this. Nipawin, Saskatchewan, originally from North Bay. Welcome, brother. Yeah, no better time than 2024 to be prep day. Big believer in that. I got a buddy that's posted northern Saskatchewan right now. I think he's working First Nation reserves, helping the communities out, and he loves it. He's gotten into hunting and whatever. I met him in Toronto when I was working in advertising, my prior self. Tubby Guy Outdoors and Darren. Do you guys know each other? Like New Liskard. I don't know where you are, Tubby Guy Outdoors. I want to say you're North Bay or something, but I might be totally wrong. Renee Fo, hello. Thank you for joining. I am waiting for and Megan Pepperall. I miss you too, guys. I hope all is well. Yeah, Sudbury. Okay, yeah, Sudbury and Liskard. Okay, yeah, Sudbury's got some good lakes too. It's funny, every time we go through Sudbury, we used to go, like, so I used to travel north with my buddy who goes to Liskard to fish. And we used to go up, fish Elliott Lake for brook trout. And every time we'd pass, like kind of the outskirts of Sudbury, we'd see the big like smokestack. We'd always call like, we wouldn't call Sudbury, we'd just call it the Chooch stack, because it'd always be freaking chooching out smoke. So I am waiting. I'm just trying to find an email here. Hang tight. Oh, there it is. Oh my goodness, I don't know how I missed that. Hey, there he is. I was just looking for you. Let's see. There he is. Okay. Anyways, I'm not going to say your real name on the chat here, but TAC3. Yeah, nice to see you, brother. Welcome. So I was going to do a live stream tonight anyways, and just kind of like chat and see who came by. I think we had like 4 or 5 people join last time, which, you know, we got to bump those numbers up. But I had a couple people reach out on my email, and if you want to email me, I've left it in the comments in a couple of videos. But it's and make sure I get this right because it's a newer email. It is I could probably put it in the chat. But if you wanted to email me, it's northcanadafishing@protonmail. .com. Sorry, I thought it was .ca. northcanadafishing@protonmail.com. Yeah, if you guys have questions or like you're curious about hunts, I just answered an email from a guy today and set him up with Franklin's booking agent. That sounds so fancy. Dusty. He was a guy. Sorry, he was a guest about 2 years ago, and I was emailing a guy that questioned me, you know, like, what are the wolf hunts like? What's the success rate? What's the cost? I don't know what the cost is. I don't talk money with my friends. Money can kind of create bad blood between people. So Franklin and I we don't mingle in that kind of conversation. And, but what I do know is the success rate. And so the whole thing about the booking agent, and it sounds fancy, it's not. Franklin's 75, and he's retired. He's been retired for a while now. You know, he's spent 30, 40 years hunting and guiding moose, black bear, wolves, walleye, pike, bass. I don't know if he ever guided lake trout and stuff like that, but yeah, that guy's just full of knowledge, as you guys know. Like he's quite the character, just an absolute beautician. And so yeah, he's retired. And so this Dusty fella, he got in contact with Franklin through Tim Wells. So Tim Wells, the Slock Master, he's one of the, I think one of the best natural, and I'm going to butcher this, I'm not an archery hunter. I just started this, or I'm just starting to archery hunt this year. Tim Wells is like one of the best bow hunters in the world. And he doesn't use sights. So I think it's like the use of just your naked eye and practice to know like what 100 yards is, what 40 yards is. And just based on that angle, like someone in the chat, tell me what that's called when you don't use sights for a bow. Someone's going to know. And instinct bow hunting. Anyways. So Tim Wells was at Franklin's, got to meet him, was cool. Got a couple photos beside the Relentless Pursuit. Instinctive, there you go. Thank you, Rural Prepper. Oh my goodness, what a freaking hunter I am, eh? So yeah, I got a photo with the Relentless Pursuit truck, which is Tim Wells' kind of main brand and company. And so he was a successful hunter that got a black wolf. I think it was like, I don't know how many yards. He was like up on a hill. Anyways, it's on YouTube. Smoked a black wolf, had to shoot it twice. And, excuse me. From there, he got Dusty in touch with Franklin. So 2 years ago, Dusty comes up with his buddy, best friend. And I'm there, like as I always am with Franklin. And we're like, yeah, like this is Tim's buddy, whatever. We don't think anything of it. You know, Franklin sets him up in the blind, and you know, he's always baiting and stuff. And the thing is like Franklin's techniques, like I'm not gonna go too much into it because that's his ordeal, that's his business. But there's people, and you'll see in the comments section of all videos, there's people that are in like utter disbelief. You know, Franklin telling the story about that wolf being like crouched down like a cat and lunging. It's like when I first met Franklin like 3-4 years ago, I thought the same thing. I'm like, this guy's full of you know what. And so anyways, the first time him and I were out, he's like, let me take you somewhere. So we jump in his white little Escalade SUV, which now he scrapped. It was just a piece of you know what. And we go up in this like hydro line cut. And he's like, yeah, I got a blind in here. I'm like, okay, cool. This is awesome. And at this point I had I hadn't got a wolf yet, but I kind of was a little bit familiar with wolf hunting. And so we drive up into this hydroline cut, and there's just, so off in the distance, he's like, yeah, there's this really, like, about 700 yards away, there's this big rock cut that you'll see. It's exposed rock. And so as we come up over the hydro line and kind of park, and he's explaining this cut and how he used to shoot bear off it and wolf and put a blind up top and all this shit. Oh, there I am swearing. Black wolf, gray wolf, white wolf. 8 wolves passed through this ridge. And I'm like, I look over at him and he looks at me, and him and I joked till this day. And he'll always tell me, like last week when I shot that wolf on skates, you know, we're all said and done, the camera's packed away. And he turns to me and he goes, what did I tell you when we first met? And I said, stick with me and you'll see some shit. And I have seen some, you know what, and I'm swearing, but whatever. So yeah, he's just a beauty. So Dusty shows up with his buddy. Keep getting distracted. Dusty shows up with his buddy, paid hunt, pays the money, doesn't really know what to expect. Has got photos and trail cam photos, Franklin sending him photos and shit. And so they smack in 2 days. I want to say it was like 1.5 days or 2 days. I'll have to refresh my memory. But they ended up leaving early, and we ended up going grouse hunting and fishing and limiting out on everything that we pretty much could. But they killed 4 wolves. 3, I think, were like in the first 2 days. And then I think on the 3rd day and I'm probably getting this wrong, but within 3 days, those 4 wolves were killed, and 3 of them were killed in the same day. So Dusty shoots one, I think it was a black one. It lays on show, like it's done, like across the lake, gone, 318-yard shot. Second one comes out like a husky looking dog, 220 yards away, downs that. And then a couple hours just before dark, so they recover it. And, they do photos and stuff, and like human scents everywhere. But of course, the thing that always moves wolves forward and a lot of predatory animals is, like, this is my chest, but the stomach. Like, the stomach speaks for everything. That rules all. I mean, they'll smell human scent and they'll back off, but they'll kind of always be lingering because they know a meal's a meal. And so, yeah, and then his buddy ended up shooting one that same day later in the evening, and then that next morning. So I want to say it was 2 days. So right then and there, Dusty was like, I am hooked. Like, this is nuts. Like, what you got here, Franklin, is silly. So then last year, Dusty was back with another buddy. And yeah, long story short, we all got talking, and he just proposed, like, hey, like, you want to retire and you are semi-retired. What if I handle all the booking and, we just work together, and then, you throw in a hunt for me or something like that. Right. So Dusty was up, he brought his daughter, and one of his best buddies again. And his daughter was able to, she didn't shoot the wolf, but she was there right with him, like looking through the scope at them and stuff. And Franklin was, tobogganing down the hill with her and stuff like that, practically babysitting her. And she loved it. So she actually didn't want to leave. And so it's just cool. Like, it's become like a family thing for them. So it's not a booking agent. Like, I call it that. It's fancy, but yeah. Anyways, let's get into it. I'm just going to catch up on some messages here, and then TAC3, brother, toss your questions in the chat there, and I'll probably explain way too much and go way into depth, but I think you guys will probably appreciate that. But before I do that, Antellum, ANTALLM, longtime friend of Franklin, or the Wolf Master. Enjoy your videos. Been coming to his place for 30 years. Awesome. Yeah, you know what? I know there's a couple of guests that have been going to Franklin's for a long time, like 30 years plus. And so I've been at Franklin's eating dinner, And people are like messaging him being like, I'm watching you right now on YouTube. And we just laugh. Like people just don't know, right? So it's pretty cool. It comes full circle. Weekender 38 is saying, on my last hunt last week, wolves had been on the bait for 20 plus days. That's good. Singles, pairs, a pack of 4, a pack of 6. Then on December 23rd, they stopped coming all together. I came in on January 1st, no wolves for 8 days. Okay. Is that normal? Some came back on night of Jan 1st. I killed 2 on Jan 3rd. Beauty. Yeah. And I think you sent me those photos, right? That big male. And that female was that's there's no way that female was like 70, 80 pounds. That was way too big for 70, 80 pounds, but that's crazy. Good job, man. That's like, props to you. That's a hard ordeal to come by. Yeah, I think in my email to you, I said, so like wolves, there is a pattern, right? So like we keep logs, like not on the, I'm looking around because my notebook's not in front of me. Paper notebook in front of you at all times, like you see the wolves on the bait, you mark it down. And you may not get into a point where like you're going to get into like a feeding schedule, like, oh, they're there at 6 a.m. every day. Although typically like before dark and after dark, they're there. Like when it's dark, that's their comfort zone. They're predators, right? They're not dumb animals. But they're there throughout the day. And the thing is, they'll tuck themselves just outside into the bush and you can't see them. So what I've learned is like when you approach your bait, one thing is like a lot of times when I first started hunting, I was like, oh, there's no wolves here. Like, oh, they smoked the bait. It's like a bomb went off. There's rib bones and there's like spruce boughs everywhere. And you just walk up, right? You walk up with your rifle and you're like, da-da-da-da, and you're checking it out. You grab your trail cam. But what I realized is, and I have a video that I can look up after. Maybe one of you guys can remind me. I'll get the title of it. I might not even know the title of it, but it's in my channel. Park my sled, going to check bait, going to rebait. And I had no idea that they hit the bait at this point. So I park on a point and I walk around the point about 1 kilometer on shore on Red Lake. Just, I guess it'd be east of Parker's Creek, if anyone knows where that is. And I come around and like my rifle's loaded, like I'm ready to go, but I'm not thinking like I'm not thinking they're on the bait. And yeah, so I come across and I have full line of sight to my bait right now. And I'm like, oh, the thing, like, again, bomb went off. Their spruce boughs kind of like away. And you can see they've destroyed the area, and there's ravens taking off and whatnot. And I should have known the ravens taking off and then sitting up in the tree. I should have known to pay attention to that, okay, there's a wolf nearby. Because they don't just sit up in the tree for no reason. They'll take off and they'll like circle around and then they'll bugger off for a bit. But when there's wolves nearby, they like stick around the bait no matter what. Unless you like bum rush them and then you're spooking them off, of course. So yeah, there was a wolf right on my bait. Even though it was hit, it was just sniffing the ground. And I don't know if it was a wolf that had hit the bait or it was just maybe a scrounger looking for scrap ends. So yeah, that's the thing. So weekend 38, like, log, like if you're hunting wolves consistently and you're baiting them consistently, like make sure you have some sort of a baiting schedule, regardless of when the wolves hit it. Like obviously Franklin, he's baiting pretty well every day. When I baited in Red Lake, I baited because I was working like sometimes 4 shifts for the most part, and then I would have 3 off. So I was baiting twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week. And I was running wolves off of my bait, which is a good thing, but also a bad thing. And the thing is I would bait at night. So my whole thought process there is if I bait at night, as spooky as that is, which is like, don't get me wrong, like I was very naive when I first started wolf hunting. I'd walk in and, like it'd be dark and although my rifle's in the case, I'm like just nonchalantly walking, like whatever, into this bait site full of meat, and I'm meat. Now I've learned, like, yeah, wolves are, they don't mess around. But the whole thing is going in baiting at night, and you're on a lake, and there's been times I have videos on there where like I'm coming back from baiting and it's like gusts and I can't see anything and I have to use my GPS. Like it's dangerous. So I'm not like telling you guys go and do this, but again, use your head, be smart about it. Make sure you're telling people where you're going. But by baiting at night, and you might be spooking wolves off at night, you're also patterning them, I can't say that, patterning them to then be a little bit more elusive at night and more so come through the day or the early morning. So when you are there early morning, maybe 1-2 hours before daylight, before shooting light, you're prepped, you got the heater going, you got the rifle still away, and then, okay, now it's a half hour before shooting light. You rack that round in the chamber and you're ready to go. And give or take, like that use of baiting at night and spooking them off that bait at night, at least in my experience, push them to feed at different times. Because once you spook wolves off, like, yeah, they'll probably come back at some point, like 4 or 5 hours later. But most often than not, you have more of a chance if you're spooking them off at, like it's dark in the winter, 8-9 p.m. at night. They're going to be feeding through the day because, again, the stomach speaks for everything. So yeah, weekend 38. So like that is normal. It's very difficult to pattern wolves, but there are patterns, to them. You just got to be really meticulous with what you're doing. Be cognizant of what you're doing when you're baiting. Like when I first started baiting, I was baiting during the daytime, and that just wasn't working. I should have been sitting during the daytime and then baiting at night. And that's what I learned. Bait at night, and I was spooking them off. I was going in there with my buddy Adam, guys from work, and we'd cruise up and there'd be like 4 or 5 wolves like taking off. And like, if you would have put it in sport mode, you probably would have been able to keep up with them. But yeah, that gets the adrenaline going. So yeah, it's and like moon phases have somewhat of a like, I don't want to say moon phases are like this big ordeal. I'm a big believer in moon phases when it comes to fishing, lake trout, walleye, whatever. And I just haven't had as much experience patterning wolves with moon phase. And that's my fault. Like what I should be doing is like, okay, I'm going to hunt this day, this day, this day, and I'm sitting for whatever, 8 hours or whatever, 12 hours, 10 hours. Okay, what's the moon phase? Like that's one thing I lacked, was writing down that moon phase and seeing what that pattern is. Because every element that you're patterning is going to come down to a fact of then you like connecting with a wolf. Like you're putting the time in, you're writing everything down, you're dialed, the timing's all there. So it's just a matter of figuring out, okay, on what day and what moon phase. Like if they're there all the time on a full moon phase, well, the chances of shooting one on some sort of full moon phase is high. I know it seems like common sense, but you need that data to figure that out. And that's one thing I learned from Franklin. I never tracked anything at the beginning. And then as I went forward, and I again, remember when I first met Franklin, took me up to that hydro line and I saw those 8 wolves cross through. And then he told me, stick with me and you'll see some shit. I saw his notebook, and to this day, he writes down everything to do when the wolves are showing up and which bait site. And I don't know. I don't think he does moon phase, but I might be totally wrong. I don't know. I'd have to ask him. And to be honest with you, like even if he did write down moon phase, I probably wouldn't extend that information, because again, that's what he does. But again, like a lot of hunters, like they'll write down patterns for deer, right? Like when they're seeing deer, what they're doing, what time of day. So it's no different than hunting deer than wolf. Let's see. Yeah, Tubby Guy Outdoors. Yeah, 100%. You hit a totally different point there that I totally forgot to say, other than patterning. And it's kind of like, it's cool because you become familiar with an area. Like I was east of, and I'm trying to figure out my directions. Yeah, I was east of Parker Creek on Red Lake. And it was cool because I knew exactly where, I mean, not one to one exactly, but by exploring that area, I knew where those wolves were. Like I knew, okay, they're to the east on this old logging cut where it was not accessible to anything but snowmobiles or ATVs, I guess. But you had to go over these huge mounds. Gold mining companies do it. So they want to block roads. They'll just mound up huge dirt piles, and I mean, guys will go through them regardless. But on a sled, it's easy, just right. But this specific area was accessible to by sled. So go in there. Okay, there's wolf tracks. They weren't there yesterday. Okay, they're still roaming. They're on their circuit, right? Even though you're feeding the wolves, they're still going to circuit. Franklin's wolves go on a circuit, no matter how much meat he puts out. We have had. There was one year. There's a video on there. I think it might be a YouTube short, and it might be a long video. We. This is going to sound like morbid and insane, but we always have these wild ideas, and like they just start as jokes. Like they're just like him and I having tea, and they just start as jokes, and then they become real because we end up just being like, yeah, let's just do it. Like the igloo, like that was just a joke, and he had it on his bucket list, so we did it. But we joked about like we have all this bait, right? We have moose hit by moose hit by cars and transport trucks on Highway 105, heading up to Ear Falls and Red Lake. So we're like trying to scavenge things. We're getting scrap meat that's spoiled. If anyone's heard of blue chicken, like it's not like blue cheese. It's like rotten chicken, and it is the worst. But the wolves love it. Like that smell is just like. Anyways, I'm like gonna gag if I think about it too much. So we had this wild idea to just build out, like freeze all the bait in these like blocks and then stack the blocks. And then one day I was going to check my rabbit snares before work, and someone had like threw a moose head, like severed, with like the little antlers still like just little, like 8-inch antlers. So I cut those off, threw it in the back of the truck. Franklin already had a cow moose head there sitting from, I think like early November. Things like really got frozen. It was a good year. And then I had all this moose hide that I thawed out. And we wrapped all of this rectangle frozen meat in the moose hide and tied it together with like twine, like metal twine. And it was like a moose head on one end, a moose head on the other, and then just meat. And then the moose hide was covering the meat, kind of like insulating it. It was nuts. Like it was just, and to be honest, that didn't work. It actually scared the wolves off because they just saw this massive moose and they didn't want to get kicked in the head, which is what moose do. And yeah, so that was like, anyways, I don't even know where I was going with that. It's just like one of those ideas where it's just like, again, like the skating video, like just try it and find out what happens, right? I know why I was saying that. The reason I was trying to tell you that story about the moose is because, again, they're circuit, right? So we have like these huge rectangles, like 24 inches by 12 inches of like frozen chicken, right? Like put it in a plastic tub. When it's like thawed and malleable, press it down, and then you just, when it's frozen minus 30, minus 40, you flip over the tub, give it a couple knocks. And actually, I used to take a blowtorch, and I have that in my channel as well. And it would just create this block of meat. And then, think of that. That's hundreds of pounds of disgusting, frozen, spoiled meat wrapped in moose hide that they love to chew on. And they still go on their circuit. Like they tear that thing apart. And well, they didn't. They got spooked off, and then we ended up dismantling it and just making it a huge bait pile. Like the bait pile was taller than I was. Like me and my partner, we were up at Franklin's. We were taking care of his house, and I remember like I have a photo of her beside the bait pile, and it's like maybe not as tall as her, but like pretty near about. And it's like they still go on their circuit. They'll still kill things. And that's the crazy thing about wolves. Like they'll run down a deer, they'll run down a coyote, they'll run down a moose, whether it's for like feeding. Don't get me wrong, they will. They'll go kill a moose, like if they can, a calf specifically. But like oftentimes, not often, but they will hunt just for the sake of hunting. Like it's similar to like when poachers go out and just like kill a deer for the sake of killing a deer, and then they just leave it. You know what I mean? Like totally in our frame of mindset, that's wrong. So then when you put it in the perspective like of like the ungulate family of moose, well, okay, so if the wolf is killing the moose and eating it, I mean, okay, they kill lots of moose, they kill lots of deer, but now you put in the factor of them just going out and killing it for the sake of practicing their skill set of killing. Now, in my prior live video, they have that, wagon wheel. So picture a wagon wheel, and actually I could probably, well, whatever. Everyone's seen a wagon wheel, with the center pin and it's, with the spokes. That's how they hunt. They push islands, that wagon wheel style, and they push in and they get these moose. Where do you think humans learned how to push islands for moose? We didn't invent that hunting technique. The wolves did. So yeah, long story short, no matter how much bait you got, they're still gonna like go on their circuit and do their thing. Just another point to that, and TAC3, I'm totally gonna get to your question, brother. I'm so sorry. I'm like going on a rant here. The cool thing about wolves is like they, as territorial as they are and as predatory as they are also lazy, depending on the area that they're in. So I was reading an article the other day, and listening. Actually, sorry, it wasn't an article; it was a podcast, and I'm not gonna remember the podcast. But they were talking about cougars. I think it was like out west, but not in Canada. It was like just south of the border, out west in the US. And they were saying that these packs of wolves, it might have been Joe Rogan, actually. The packs of wolves would follow cougars and mountain lions and pretty well feed off the kills of the cats. And the cats had adapted to not only kill like maybe one elk, they'll kill two, or they'll kill like two deer. They'll leave the one there as a distraction for the wolves, and then they'll like drag up the other one and drag it into the bush and feed on that. So like that's something I've never experienced, but like just wild. Like Mother Nature, man. Like that's crazy. All right. TAC3. So, okay, so you're new to Northern Ontario. Where might a guy find bait for wolves? Seems to be a shortage of old roadkill cafe. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, so, okay, so wherever you are, like I know where you are. What I suggest is going into your local town and go talk to, okay, two things. So Northern Ontario. Okay, so I'm thinking like the highways. So if it's MTO, like Ministry of Transport of Ontario, or MCON, EMCON, try and figure out who does the highways where you are. And obviously you can follow up with an email. We can chat. But go talk with them and see, because every time like a moose or deer or something's hit on the road, it has to be removed, right? So if no one's going to pick up that and scavenge it, it has to be removed off the roadway. And I want to say, it has to be removed entirely. Like I know where I am right now, like we'll hit deer all the time out on the road. And usually we call MTO, and they literally just like will help them chuck the deer in the back of their truck, and they just take it to the dump. Now, obviously, like you can throw it in my truck, and I'll take it for bait. Like that's what I do. So just get in good with locals and start chatting with people, just about like maybe calling you if they see like a moose hit by a car, or really anything kind of hit by a vehicle, and then you can just pretty well go pick it up. Um, I've picked up dead fox on the side of the road and skinned them out when they thawed out, and they make beautiful pelts. Same with rabbits. And then I just take the carcass and throw it on my bait site. Um, the second option I was going to say was go to your local grocery store and figure out, like, every grocery store throws out so much, like, produce, vegetables, fruit, meats, and obviously meat is what you want specifically. So go in and, like, honestly, like that's what I used to do. I used to just go in and you're like, hey, is the manager there? And just like be honest and transparent. Just be like, I'm new to town, and like this is, who I am. This is like what I'm into. And like I'm starting a couple bait sites for wolf hunting, and just explain it to them and say, like, I understand you guys might throw some, like, scrap meat away. How would it if, like, I came every other day and picked up scrap meat? I used to have the grocery store, like, the manager calling me, begging me to take scrap meat. And it's sad, right? Because it's so much waste. And I'm a big believer that, like, if we wanted to, like, solve world hunger, we could, but then there would be a lot of people, like, leeching off that free food. But there's a lot of waste, and that waste can be put into good use, like wolf hunting or fox hunting or coyote hunting or whatever. So try that. And if you can't get anything kind of like locally, like talk to, like, once you get to know people at your, like, workplace, get to know people that hunt. I had several contacts because people knew, like, no one wolf hunts anymore. I don't know what's going on. Not that I want an abundance of wolf hunters like me. Don't get me wrong. I think going out and trying new things. I mean, that through COVID, that was my release. Like, I had nothing to do, so I'm like, hey, I'm gonna start wolf hunting, and this is turned into just like a phenomenal experience and adventure, of me learning about these animals to a point where like I'm almost to a point where, like, I kind of, there's a guy on my channel, Ernie's Cabin, and I'm almost getting to a point where, like, I almost just want to photograph them and capture them and do trail cam photos and stuff like that. But maybe I'll ingrain myself into, like, other people hunting them. I don't know. I'm not sure what to do there, but my heart is growing. And I know taking a couple wolves out does help the population for deer and moose, but yeah, sometimes it just hurts the soul, right? But yeah, like, get in with a couple guys, like, especially around deer season and moose season, or First Nations people. They always have scrap stuff moving around in their place. They usually, like, that moose rack with the little 8-inch antlers I found when I was checking the my rabbit snares. Like, I would say that's rare to have that happen. Like, I don't think a First Nations person would throw that away, and the hooves and everything. I think for the most part, I think they use a lot of it. But even a skull, like, a skull's got a brain in it, and if they don't take the brain out and use it for tanning, like, crush the friggin' skull up and, like, put that into your bait. Leave the brain exposed. As morbid as that sounds, like, don't get me wrong, that's morbid. So just get creative. And again, like, you can follow up with an email, man. But I highly suggest getting in touch with people that hunt moose, and just inquire with them, because I find with people that hunt, like, I harvest deer and I harvest moose. I try to. I haven't yet, but I try. The biggest thing to get rid of, even black bear, is like the bones and like the stuff that you don't want. So like oftentimes I try and field dress and like skin it out in the bush. But at the same time, I like taking the whole body and carcass because I split it open. Okay, take the pelt. Okay, put it over here. Put it in a salt bath, right? Freeze it, get it prepped. I'm going to tan it out later. Then you take all the intestines and everything. And of course, you have to be careful, like especially with black bears and black like gallbladders. I want to say there's a law that you have to leave that in the bush, but I might be totally wrong. But don't quote me on that. But get in the habit of like taking all those entrails and stuff with you and just creating your own bait pile. And to that point, like what I was saying in the beginning, like, okay, now you have a moose, you drag it out of the bush, and okay, now like the intestines and stuff, everything's out. Maybe they'll keep the liver and heart and stuff. Some people eat that. Heart's delicious, supposedly. But like those guys and those families, I had one family, they got 4 moose one year, and I like the whole back of my truck was just like full. And Franklin was just like shaking his head like rock on, man, like let's do this. And it's just like you're doing them a favor because they don't have to get rid of it. And the thing is, they're just going to go down a bush road and get rid of it on the side of the road anyways. So those wolves, there's going to be wolves and coyotes and foxes hitting that anyways down the side road. So you might as well take all that, put it in your truck, toss it on your bait site, like throw it in your snowmobile sleigh, and like go out and just toss it, right? Like there's guys that freeze stuff into the ice, but I don't know, like you can do that. I used to use big like blocks of frozen meat. I have a bunch of videos on it. But yeah, so just get creative and just meet people. And the thing is like the more people you'll meet, you'll find like people are going to be texting you, hey man, I smacked a deer. You want the pelt, or do you want the head? Do you want the hooves? Do you want this, right? And then you just go pick it up. And it's awesome because depending on where you are, and I know where you are based on the email that we were sending back and forth, minus 40, like you can leave it in the back of your truck for weeks and it's not going to do anything. It's just going to sit there. Like half the time when I was in Red Lake for like 5 or 6 years, when you got that like spring thaw, there was like blood dripping from the back of my truck. And I'm like, I guess that kind of looks bad, eh? Like, but again, it's just like from all the baiting that Franklin and I were doing. Let's see here. Tuppy Guy Outdoors, walk into a bait site at night, gives you the creeps, don't care how tough you are. Yeah, 100%, man, 100%. And walking in to a bait site and like hearing the wolves howl, like, and you like, like close, but like far away, but close enough. Like the hair on your arms just like ding. And I will never get sick and tired of that. Like I'll never. Even at Franklin's, we go and sit and we'll just be watching them with the binoculars, and like they start howling, they light up, and I'm like, oh my God, like you just get shivers, I mean, I've been sleeping in his spare bedroom at Franklin's, and like he's got the wood stove going, he's got that little like, the heat fan, when the stove gets hot, and like there's obvious ambient noise, and you just hear like kind of like through like the faintness of like the wind and everything. He's like, and then I can hear him open up the window upstairs, and I'll like rush up and we'll just listen to them like howling off the ridge. And it's just like, and then you're like wide awake. You're like, well, now I can't sleep. Yeah, it doesn't ever get old. Weekender 38. What about the temperature affecting wolf movement? My week was unusually warm. -8 this week, hitting -38. Which would you choose? I have always, this is my experience. Now, when it comes like Franklin's, I don't really know what his pattern is when it's like, I don't know. I can't speak to that. My experience, sorry, and I'm looking at my computer and reading these. My experience is, so the coldest that I've sat in Oh, I don't know what that was. The coldest I've sat in, excuse me, was minus 36. And that's without a heater. But it's in a hut. So a little bit contained, like, but still cold, like you're frozen. My videos on there, I would put a blind up and I would actually sleep in the blind. I would have the heater there. I wouldn't have it going when I'm sitting. I would just have it going just before bed and then in the morning just to like warm up like the boots and everything, because I'd have everything hanging so that when you turn the heater on in the morning, everything would be toasty warm and then you'd be cozy and for the rest of the day. But yeah, minus 36 was the coldest that I sat in with a ice shack and without an ice shack. Sorry, no, minus 26 without an ice shack. Like I was just in whites, and there's a video on there of me sitting in whites, you know, a tree down like that, and I was sitting right there on like rock, and I'm like shivering, and a wolf ends up coming out. I didn't get the video of the wolf, but I ended up taking a shot at it, and you get me freaking out because it was the first wolf I saw and shot at. But weekender 38. Long story short, the colder the better. I personally find, which like that tests you, right? Because like anything, like no one wants to go for a walk or no one wants to go for a run when it's minus 30, minus 40, even minus 20. I hear people say this all the time. Oh, it's cold, minus 20. Oh, it's cold, minus 30. Like, don't get me wrong. That's cold, okay? But use your head, use common sense. Like, pack a little, like if you have to, pack a little fanny pack that goes around your waist with like extra socks and maybe like those nowadays with technology, like the thermal underwear that you would, not underwear, but like the thermal long sleeves and the thermal pants. I mean, they're so thin, yet they're such a good material. You can roll those up into like that big, put an elastic around it, put it in a fanny pack. It doesn't take much space. It's not a lot of weight. You don't have to carry a backpack. I mean, you can. I used to always carry a backpack because where I was, I'd always have an axe on me. I'd always have water. I'd always have snacks, a protein shake, a flashlight, even though it always froze and never worked. You know, like I would have everything in there so that if shit hit the fan, that I could at least be out there for 24 hours until someone, like, I would always tell 2 to 3 people like, hey, this is where I'm going. Here's my pinpoint. I'm in this area. So always think about, again, like be smart. So I think the colder, the better, right? Like you have to test yourself when it comes to this. Like they're wild animals. From my experience at Franklin's, when it's -8 and it's sunny, they're out on the ice, like sunbathing. Like in the spring, come March, like we're in t-shirts, like, you know, ice fishing. They're out on the lake, like sunbathing. And don't get me wrong, like they're gonna hit the bait, but at the same time, in the spring, it's warmer. They're sunbathing. They're taking in that vitamin D. Mating season's on, right? Like things are getting pretty heavy and instinctive. So really, like when you get into not so much March, but February, I found February to be like the perfect hunting month because it's so freaking cold. Like people think January is cold. No, February is cold. You know, cruising across the lake, -36, -38. I don't know what that wind chill is when you're going 60 kilometers an hour. But all I know is like you'd have like 3 balaclavas around your neck and you'd still friggin' feel it. And, oh my goodness. I'm surprised I didn't get frostbite. So yeah, weekender 38. The colder the better, man. The colder the better. And also too, like I'm a firm believer, again, wild animals, they adapt, their coats adapt. Same with moose, same with deer. When it gets that cold, their pelts are just like gorgeous, just absolutely phenomenal. Their guard hairs start to come out, really thick undercoat. Obviously, if anyone owns a husky, they know everything about an undercoat, and then the main, like their main coat, which is like what they kind of shed off, and then their undercoat is what they shed off in the spring, and then they get it back in the fall. So think of a husky like a wolf, right? When it's minus 30, minus 40, those wolves are always out there, right? They're hunkered down like underneath the spruce boughs, you know, like they're trying to. That's why those huskies obviously derive from the wolf family. And I owned a husky shepherd. You know, he'd curl up in a little ball, and his tail would just cover his little nose, and like that's a wolf right there. So yeah, those pelts are like just beauty. So not that you're not going to get a nice pelt in -8, but I think like if I were to kill a wolf, it's always going to be in the winter. I preferably my own opinion. I don't want to shoot a wolf in the fall. Like they're smelly already. Like I don't need more smell than they're already smell. So yeah, the colder the better. But again, like be smart about it, right? Tell people where you're going. Have something set up. Like before you start baiting, like make sure there's sign. Make sure the wolves are around. Prep your like get comfortable with an ice shack, or if it's leaning logs into like a teepee and then tying it off and then putting spruce boughs around it, and then you tuck yourself in, and maybe that little spruce bough shelter is big enough for you to have a little buddy heater. Like so be it. It's not fully insulated, but those spruce boughs will keep you warm. Like prep yourself. It's not, you don't have to be this like badass person that goes out and like, I know I have some interesting videos on here of me shivering and stuff, but I look back at that, I'm like, why did you put yourself through hell? Because that's a good way to, you know, not enjoy yourself, because no one likes to be frozen. And so just be comfortable. Like it's okay to be comfortable. It's okay to make things comfortable. I had a cot in my wolf blind. I had a heater. I had a tripod for like a shooting stick. I had a like a permanent chair in there. I had little like coat rack coat rack hangers so I could hang stuff on. Like I could have lived out there if I want. I practically did. So yeah, get comfortable. Like make it your home, right? What else we got? Tubby Guy Outdoors, one of the only animals around that kill for fun. Yeah, probably. Yeah, I have to agree with that, man. Yeah, make friends with a tow truck operator. Yes, 100%. Yeah, they're always, or plow drivers. Talk to your plow. But again, that would be MTO or MCon. I think those are the only two. Like again, I know where you are, TC, C3 or TA C3. MCon or MTO or both. Like just go up and be like, hey, this again, just like the meat cutters at the grocery store, just introduce yourself and just see what they're about, and see if you can get on a schedule, and pick stuff up. The downfall of picking up like grocery meat that's gone bad is you'll have to, I got all my stuff frozen. So what I do is it would come in like boxes, like meat boxes. It was open. It would just be labeled scrap, and they put my name on it. Like it was awesome. At one point, they were totally cool with me going in the back door and just grabbing the bait. Like everyone was just so familiar with me. And then when I left Red Lake, they're like, what do you, like, who's gonna take our bait now? But I think they've stopped that since, because just before I left, there was an outfitter there, and I'm not gonna name his name because I don't wanna I don't want to give any bad blood, but he showed up trying to get bait, and he's like, there was a new kid working, and I talked to the kid prior and got bait off him. And of course, like I talked to everyone, like, hey, how are you? You're new here. This is my name. I wolf hunt. This is what I do. And he's like, oh yeah, I know who you are. My manager, so-and-so told me about you. So I grab my bait and leave. Well, the next day, I'm supposed to pick more bait up because he was cutting as I was grabbing bait. So sometimes I got a box or 4 or 5 boxes or whatever. But that day I got a box. She come back the next day. There's no bait for me. And he's like, oh, I'll have 4 or 5 boxes for you. So I'm like, where's all the bait? And the manager's like, oh, like your friend so-and-so took it. And I was like, okay, I know who he is, but we're not friends and we've never talked a day. And like, I've met him on the lake. That's it. So now we have someone going in and manipulating a whole grocery store, saying that, oh yeah, I'm buddies with Joel. No, we're not. We're not friends. So once she learned that, and she knew, she's like, oh, my gut told me that something was off. And then actually like weeks later, he actually went in and actually like ended up just taking a bunch of boxes of scrap, which he just assumed was scrap. It wasn't marked or anything, wasn't frozen. It was like freshly cut. And it's like, I don't know, man, that's just rude. Like yeah, like don't do that. Like just be honest with people. If he would have came to me and left a note at the meat cutter and was like, hey, I'm gonna leave this note for Joel, and would have said, hey, can we split on bait? I would have 100% gave him 50%. I would have given him 75% of my bait, because a lot of times I had too much. And back what I was gonna say, I used to always big boxes of bait, put it in the back of the truck. I'd get home, open the boxes of bait, and so you'd have like a box of chicken, and it's blue chicken, and now it's frozen, so it doesn't smell as bad. I'd have meat gloves, I'd call them, and they would just be gloves that they never went inside my house, never went inside my truck. They would always stay in the back of my truck, or just on the floor of my garage. And they were my gloves that I always used for manipulating, either setting snares or like for rabbits, just to like my human scent, which I don't know, meat hands setting rabbit snares might not be a good idea, but I'd always have this set of gloves. So I'd always put the gloves on, get my knife out, start cutting the styrofoam, and I just have my garbage pail beside me, and I just start chucking. And it's not hard work. It's just meticulous. Like, and then you have to make like these are like seeds. They're like little seedlings that I'm growing right now. Just a little orange tree, but like. You know how like on meat, you have that little thing that's like on the steak on the back, like the blood packet or whatever you want to call it. Those are the worst to get off because they rip and then the plastic sticks to it. And honestly, like I'm a firm believer, and I'm sure all of you fine folks are the same. Like I don't even like cigarette butts. Like put it out and dip it in the water and then put it in your pocket. Like what are you doing? Beer can, same thing. So any little piece, like even a gum wrapper, I won't even throw out the window. Like I'll just like throw it on the bottom of my truck floor or whatever. So it's kind of meticulous, but getting the styrofoam off and everything like that, like that's a good idea. And then like just burn it. Like we're paying carbon tax, so just burn your friggin' garbage, like the meat, so it doesn't smell and everything like that. Because the thing is one time I piled all the styrofoam from the meat, and I just tied it up in a bag, and I just left it outside my house. And of course it got ripped apart by coyotes. And that was my fault. And then, of course, and then there's ravens all over my freaking front yard in Red Lake, right? And people like, it's like Alfred Hitchcock, just nuts. Yeah, Tubby Guy Outdoors, you got some good ideas, brother. Fuck, beauteous. Almost dropped the F-bomb there. Tubby Guy Outdoors, I had a couple OPP officers that had my number for roadkills, but a cop a coffee. Oh, buy a cop a coffee one day. Yeah, officers, like police deal with roadkill all the time, and I'm pretty sure they're the ones notifying MTO or MCON or whoever the road crew is. Anyways, like if you have a like an accident involving a deer, like unless the person, like the officer's taking the deer for meat, or maybe the road like MTO or MCON's taking the deer for meat, it's just going to the dump, right? So make friends. Let's see, Darren Davidson. Yes. Okay, so here we go. Yes, the law says you have to leave the gallbladder. I used to hunt bear quite a bit. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so I thought for a second it was maybe the whole like intestine and everything, but it's just the gallbladder. That makes sense. Darren, He says, I did get frostbite on my chin one year, snowmobiling at -35. Wind got between my neck scarf and helmet. Frostbite. Yeah, well, hopefully nothing like burnt off and fell off your face, like, a little piece of like skin or something. My buddy's dad did the same thing. Like he just had one little sliver of exposed neck. And of course, like once you get going, it's like maybe 3-4K to your ice shack. And he felt it, like he's like, oh, that like it feels like it's like burning and like getting like cold, like that cold burn. But then he said the sensation went away and it started to like warm up. Well, no, that was just early onset frostbite. So it was like really white under his neck for a while. But he's fully recovered now. Like he's fine. Tubby Guy Outdoors. I run my rabbit snares through a pine bough before I set them. Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, have a good one, brother. Thanks for stopping by, Tubby Guy Outdoors. Enjoy. Hopefully you and the wife, you're doing well. I look forward to more summer videos with the RV and you camping and whatnot. Those look fun. Oh man, beauteous. And TAC3, I think you and I can chat. We can talk a little bit more over email. Maybe I can send you a couple locations on Google Maps of maybe some areas to try. But in the end of the day, I highly suggest just get out and about. If you watch my wolf hunting journey videos, like again, I knew very little. And a lot of the reason why I found my bait site where I ended up connecting with the big black wolf, well, I ended up connecting with 3 wolves, but sadly enough, the 2 that I did hit, they ended up, or no, 4. 1 I got, 3 I sadly hit, but it wasn't a hit that was sorry, I'm tired today. I was up at 3 a.m. I didn't kill the wolf on impact, and the 1 wolf I ended up bum rushing, like I said in my hockey skate video. But like a lot of the areas, I just went around snowmobiling one day. I always knew not to take my ice fishing gear because I would always get distracted to go ice fishing. So I'd always just go out and enjoy, like I never really rode around on my sled to enjoy it. It was always for a purpose, ice fishing or going to like try and find wolves. And the whole reason I found that pack was just roaming around. And then you start to kind of like calibrate yourself with, okay, so there's wolf tracks here. Okay, let's look around. Okay, so where I'm standing, there's wolf tracks. There's an island to the right of me. The wolf tracks go by the island. Okay, how many wolf tracks go to the island? Are they pushing the island? Where are they coming off the island? Or are they not? Are they ignoring that island and taking the shoreline into another spot? Follow the tracks. You're gonna know your whole circuit of that pack, and then you'll know, okay, so if they, well, here, I'm gonna draw something here for you guys. Or actually, oh, better yet, I wonder if I can try something. I'm gonna try something here, bear with me. Bear with me. I'm gonna bring up, I'm gonna exit that. Make sure I don't spill anything. I'm gonna bring up Google Maps. I'm going to focus on Red Lake because just as I'm familiar with Red Lake. And I'm going to have to, I have way too many, I can't show you this map. I have too many pinpoints, and you guys are going to play this back, and then you're going to know everything. And as much as I want to share with you, just like Franklin's little secrets, I have to still, like, you know, I have to respect my own self and the due diligence that I've done in the work that I've taken to hunt wolves. So I might have to, let's see how this is going to work. One sec. Okay, I don't know if this is going to work, but I'll try it. Slowly going downward, but if I do that, there we go. Okay, and I might have to unplug my light. There. Okay. Hopefully, let's see if you guys can see this. Just dropping stuff. Yeah, okay, you can see it. And I don't know if it's flipped. I wish there was a better, I need to download an app so I can show multiple screens. So here's Red Lake right here. And I wonder if I can make this full screen. There. So here's Red Lake, and here's Highway 105 coming in, okay? And here's Howie Bay right here. So I would take Howie Bay, come around all the way through here. There's a set of, well, 3 sets of narrows, 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 and narrows. I would take these narrows, follow this shoreline. I think you can see my cursor. Yeah, you can. Beautiful. And this bay right here. And by all means, go hunt it. There's wolves there. This bay. And if I put cellular or satellite on, there it is there. So I was tucked right on that peninsula, right there. And when it comes down to knowing your circuit of wolves, I found that pack right here. That pack was right here. There was a ton of tracks pushing this island right here. If you can see that, yeah, you can, perfect. I followed the tracks from here, down here, into this, and these are all like logging cuts. You can kind of faintly make out some logging cut roads. This whole area is inaccessible by vehicle, mainly even inaccessible ATV, but snowmobile is perfect. So they would roam around here, and then they would bugger off way down to the south, down here. So I backtrack, came back on the lake, well, and then they were pushing through here, and then they were going up this bay right here. So now I know they're in this general area, moving south. So then I set up in here, because when I drove past this bay, up through here where it says Eagle Falls Lodge, this is a wolf highway right here. As I go through, wolf highway, all through here. Wolf highway, wolf highway, wolf highway, and it comes out to a road. That is Suffolk Lake Road. It is a road you can actually drive a vehicle down. So if I zoom out, I got to find the bay. My bay is right here, where that pin is. So now I've narrowed down. This whole area is where my pack is. Well, not that far, but from here over and south. Okay? So just get out and about. Just go out and just enjoy yourself. Now I got to figure out this camera again. And that's the beauty of it, right? Like, the more you roam around, and this is going to be super bright, one sec. Oh my gosh. There we go. just cruise around, like have fun with it. And just keep your eyes peeled. Like you're going to put a lot of time into trying to find a pack. And I'm just going to try and bring up the live chat again here. You're going to spend a lot of time like hunting these wolves. Like if you're not paying for a guided trip, and what I mean by guided trip is like, you know, like there are some guides and outfitters, they'll like push for wolves. I've personally never done that. I've always done like a spot and stalk, or you sit and over a bait and call, of course. I'm just going to go back to the chat, but you're going to put hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. Like I wish I kept tally of all the hours I put into wolf hunting from like 2019 all the way till now. But I tell you right now, like it is hundreds and hundreds of hours, and I don't want to discourage anyone. There's people like I had a guy, he ended up baiting close to a spot where I was baiting, and I actually went the one day to go check on his bait, and he was actually like rebaiting, and I just was like, hey man, like I'm baiting like a kilometer this way, so either we put our baits together or like we got to figure something out. And he actually ended up being very respectful. He was new to town in Red Lake, and he actually buggered off, and he went up the Nungusser Road. There's tons of wolves up the Nungusser Road. Nungusser Road and then the North Road. Tons of wolves, tons of bears, tons of grouse. Beauty spot. But yeah, like you're going to have to put the time in. That's all it is. Because just like patterning, the more you pattern, the more you get like calibrated into like your pack. Once you find them, like you're just narrowing down that window to a point where you're going to connect with them. Right. So yeah. Darren. Oh yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah. Your frostbite blistered up, eh? As I touch my face, like I feel like I can feel it. Darren, don't give away your hotspots. Yeah, if you were to look at the map, it's like I have certain icons for like fishing spots, certain icons for moose, certain icons for wolf, certain icons for like all this stuff. And they're like very detailed. Like it's just Google Maps, don't get me wrong, but it's like to a point. TAC3, another question. A bit of a debatable one, but here it goes. What caliber might be suitable for wolf? I was thinking same as whitetail deer caliber. So are you talking like a 270? Are you thinking of a 270? Let me know in the chat if you're thinking of a 270. Thor 1111. Any whitetail caliber? Yeah, I agree. I use 223 77 grain. I also use 556. I also use 308. I find 308. So here's the thing. When I use 223 or 556, when you shoot at the wolf, like in the hockey skate video that I posted this afternoon, when I shot at that wolf and it smoked him in the chest, like he took off like a bat out of hell, and that other wolf like just like stood there and was like, "Hey man, like are you good?" Like he didn't know what was going on. And I find with the 223, like Franklin, like he's got good hearing, but because he's hunted so often, like he's kind of lost a little bit of hearing. So I got to give him a little bit. Like he didn't hear my shot when I was around that point. But in the video, you can hear the shot ring off like boom, and I increased the sound by like 200%, but you can still hear it at just 100% volume. So I find with 223 or 556, like you can take a shot at a wolf and potentially get more shots off at different wolves, or not the same wolf. Like if you when you smack a wolf, it's going to take off. But yeah, like you might have another opportunity for a second wolf with the 223 or 556. Just know that using like a 223 or a 556, you're going to have a great pelt. It's going to go right in and come right out. It's going to be a small hole. You might not even see, like you're going to see the hole, but it's going to be very faint. So the pelt's going to be gorgeous. But don't bum rush like I did. Like let them sit for a while. And then 308, like you're going to blow a hole right through the side of that thing. Which is like, whatever, like pelts can be sewn. Like it's not a huge deal. 243, Weekender 38. 243 worked really well for me. Yeah, 243 I would recommend. TAC3, 22, 250. Yeah, Franklin swears by the 22, 250. 7.08. I've had a guy in Nipigon. He used 7.08, and I think he smacked 2 wolves now with no issues. I think 1 he had to track, and 1 just dropped right on the ice. Yeah, I've never shot 22, 250 to be very honest with you. So I can't really speak to that. But 243 is good. 7.08 is good just because I know the guy in Nipigon smacks his wolf with that. So yeah, I think your best bet would probably be like a 243 to be honest with you. And just like Weekender 38 said, like 243 worked for him. He just smacked 2 wolves on the 3rd of January. Like what a beauty. Like holy man. You just saved a lot of wolves. Like, or sorry, you saved a lot of moose, not wolves. Oh goodness. Cool. To be very honest, so we're going on like 80 some odd minutes now. I'm gonna sign off here. It's like almost 9 o'clock. Sorry, it's 8:15. It's not almost 9 o'clock. But I gotta eat some dinner or have something to eat. But I'm gonna I'll give it a minute or two here. If anyone has any other questions, toss them in there. What I'll do is actually North Canada Fishing at protonmail.com. Tell me if you guys can see that email I just put in. I just put my email in the chat. For some reason, the first half is orange. I don't know if that means it's like censored. But it's North Canada Fishing, like my channel's name, North Canada Fishing at protonmail.com. And I think what I'll do is if you guys send me questions over email, I mean, by all means, I'll chat with you over email, no problem. But if you send me, if you send me questions, maybe I'll just collect a bunch of questions and I'll do another live stream. What else? Weekender 38. Yeah, man. Yeah, this is fun. This is cool. I think we had 25 or 26 viewers or something like that at one point. So that's pretty cool, man. That's awesome. Thor 1111. Do you guys freeze any bait into the ice? Takes them a lot longer to destroy it, and they really like digging for it. Yeah. So I started by bringing my ice auger out and drilling holes, and then shoving deer hooves and deer necks down the hole and stuff like that. I had a gas auger, so it was just messy, and I ended up smelling like gas and exhaust. So I couldn't be bothered, to be very honest with you guys. Now what I did and what I swear by, is so go to your like Dollarama or but Dollarama or Dollar Store might not have them. Excuse me. Oh. Been up since 3 a.m. My goodness. I always went and tried to find the cheapest totes. Like, you know, you put like clothing in or photographs, like huge totes. Like I'm talking, they're 24 inches by, or no, they're, yeah, well, they're probably 30 inches by 24 inches. And then they come with a lid. Get all your meat, chuck it in there when it's like malleable, or it doesn't even have to be. Like it can be frozen chunks and you just break it up with a hammer, throw it in the tote. And so say the tote's like, obviously not the scale. Don't fill it up all the way. Leave a little bit of room because you're going to need a little bit of room for that to like expand. But you're going to fill it with water and then leave it outside with the lid on all night in like -20, -30, -40, wherever you are. Let it freeze solid for like 3 days or 4 days. And then be careful, it's going to be super heavy. And then just put it, like ease it into your snowmobile sleigh. And the reason I say ease it into your snowmobile sleigh is because when I didn't ease it into the snowmobile sleigh, I cracked the side of my sleigh because -30 and then plastic is just, yeah. And a big chunk of like bloody, it looks like a bloody ice cube, a blood cube. So I would make these and I'd put like 2 or 3 of them in my sleigh and they were heavy. Like I felt like I was going to break the bottom of my sleigh, just like hitting a little bump on the ice. But the thing is like, when you do that, like, so you put all the meat in, put the water in, put the lid on, leave it somewhere that you're able to like lift it up. Like I would leave it on my snowmobile trailer. So then when it was frozen, take the lid off. I would have my sled or my sleigh right next to my snowmobile trailer. Like here's my trailer, here's ground level. My sleigh would be here. And I could just like kind of ease it in. And then if it didn't just plop into the sleigh, I would just take a little torch and just like you're painting, just go on the underskirt of underneath on the tote, like on the plastic. Just don't hold it there; it'll burn right through. And just heat up the edges and the bottom of it, and then give it a couple like hits with the palm, and it'll like slide out. Try that. Like it seems like a lot of work, but the ravens can't carry it away. They sit there and peck at it, and they can't take, you know, little bits and pieces and forget about it because they're very smart birds, but they throw meat everywhere and they forget about it. But also too, like the wolves have to sit there. They can smell the blood, and then they have these huge ice blood chunks. And they just have to gnaw on them. So they're there and they're gnawing, and then they might get like a chicken bone that's like sticking out of the corner, and they'll sit there and gnaw until they get a piece. And that would be the time when I'd be like, hey, here you are, man, like broadside, boom. So yeah, like I think doing the bait, we used to call them baitsicles, Franklin and I. And they worked really good. They were awesome. I loved doing that. Yeah, TAC3. Yeah, no worries, man. These live things are pretty cool. I'll start like, obviously, like I don't want to do them too often because I don't want to like saturate and not have anything to talk about with you guys. But yeah, every so often I'll like hop on here. I'll make sure that you guys are aware, and I'll do so like what I can do is I can schedule a live. Like I could do it like a month from now, I'm pretty sure. And you can like just hit notify and it'll like tell you when I actually go live. But I'll also do like a little community post, so maybe you guys will see it. Like if you're out, if you're watching a fishing video, you know, Jay Siemens from like Kenora eating dinner, you might see my community post come up on your page because you're subscribed to me, right? I think I'm not going to ask you guys to do this, but I think there's like a little bell you can hit, and there's a notification thing you can hit as well. I think then you'll get notifications like when I post something, or community post, schedule a post, a new video. It'll just like pretty well infiltrate you with notifications that I posted something. Weekend of 38. Barnes TTSX bullets worked great. Excellent penetration. Beauteous. Yeah, hopefully your pelts turned out good. They look good. Like they didn't look too like beat up at all. Like no massive hole like a 308 would do. And the 308, the thing is like it goes in and it's not the entry wound that you're worried about, it's the exit wound. Like it goes in and then it goes boom and then it just, now you have a hole in your wolf, which is like, okay, now it's like it drops, like it's drop done, but the pelt, right? You got to sew it together. David Ingram. Oh, sorry. Before that, Thor 1111. Too bad I just joined the last 15 minutes. Will this be posted online for later? Yeah. This is all like I'm on my phone right now. Obviously, it's like I'm watching it on my computer as well on mute. But yeah, my last live video is there as well. The first one I did, the quality is not good because I didn't use my phone. I used my computer, and it's an older Mac. But just go to my channel, and I think it's, I don't know, you'll see it. It's like videos, shorts, live, community posts, I think. I think those are the categories you can click on. And that's where you'll also find like my scheduled live streams. Like if I schedule them for next week or a month from now, you'll see all that. David Ingram, thanks for the live chat, Joel. Anytime, brother. Nice to see you on here. Thanks for coming. Appreciate the love. TAC3. Yeah, you're just responding to Weekend 38. Those are getting to be more and more popular. Yeah. And you know what, guys? The thing is, I'm going to just do a little plug here. It's not sponsored. So the gateway to Woodland Caribou, I think it's backwards, but Chikuni Outdoor Supply. So chikunieoutdoorsupply.ca. I will put his website in. I designed the website for Richard. I hunt with him all the time up in Red Lake. He's an absolute beauty. If you go into a shop, tell him that you were on the live chat talking about wolves and I sent you to his shop. Grab as much ammunition as you can. He does rifle giveaways on his Facebook page. Where typically I think you have to go in to enter, but I think he's got Facebook giveaways where you can like and share sometimes, but I can't recall. So the whole idea here is like, I'm just plugging him because he's one of my best buddies. I love him to death. Again, not sponsored. Him and I are hunting buddies. I've learned a ton from him. He's smoked a moose a couple years ago up north. I think it was like one Charlie, beautiful bull. So yeah, go in. Just remember, like, obviously, like he's working there. He's working on guns. He's a full-time gunsmith. He owns a gun range up there. I want the Red Lake Sportsman Club. It's on the website. You check out the website. It's all there. Send him an email. Do whatever you want. And we're working on getting his firearms online. You won't be able to buy them online, but you'll be able to view everything that he has in stock, and then you call him and just purchase the order and just pay over the phone. Just because it saves cost on like having an online shop, although it's very easy, it's hard to keep up with. Like it's just him and his wife working there. So yeah, he's someone awesome to know. And yeah, go buy as much ammo as you can, because like, I don't know, who knows, at some point ammunition might be short, and if you don't have ammo to shoot, well then firearms are useless unless you reload, which is a good thing to take under. But yeah. Rural Prepper, Barnes bullets are awesome. Always get complete pass-through and minimal damage. Beauteous. Yeah, that's exactly what you want for a pelt. Throw that pelt on the bed. I mean, when it's tanned, and yeah, the wifey might not like that, but wolf head on the bed, but whatever. Darren Davidson, yeah, that's how I knew you were going live. Okay, so I think you hit the notification and then the bell and stuff. Perfect. Yeah, if you guys want to do that, by all means. I'm not going to ask anything from you at all. Like, the reason I started this YouTube channel was just for fun and to share memories with friends and be with friends and capture those memories. Although they're always up here, like, I wanted to extend that to other people. And I think that the wolf hunting is just an extension of that. I will never ask you guys for anything. Tubby Guy Outdoors, I think he donated like $6 or $7 or something like that. Like, that was super nice of him. But like, I'm not asking for anything, guys. But if you do want to get notified, by all means, get her done. Hit the bell, hit the little notification thing, and yeah. But specifically on the live things, like when I schedule a live, you can just hit the notify and it'll just tell you when I go live. So you won't be inundated with notifications. David Ingram meatsicles, great idea. Yeah, man. Yeah. The amount of like just rotten meat I've touched is not good. But yeah, I'm used to it now. TAC3, Shikunis, I spent a few bucks there myself. Real nice guy. Yeah, he's a beauty. He's rough around the edge. Like, he gives me shit all the time. Like, him and I, like, he makes fun of me, I make fun of him. But he's got a heart of gold, that guy. Like, you can't ask for anyone better than him. To work on your firearm or to buy a firearm off. Yeah, anyways, guys, okay, I'm going to sign off. Everyone have a wonderful week ahead. Stay well, stay safe, and do your research, get out there. Like I said in the hockey skate video, like, when you have a plan in your head, if you have to write it down in a notebook, whatever, like, just get it done, try it, right? Like, if you want to, like, what I find, this is the last little tidbit that I'll tell you, and then I'm off. What I found throughout my whole life, I've always had these experiences, and I think you guys could probably agree, you've had these as well, where, you're sitting there and you've had a long week at work and, you're busy and this, that, and the other. And, like, do I want to go wolf hunting? Do I want to go lake trout fishing? I'm tired. I should probably get a little extra sleep. I could take a nap. I could whatever. You know what? Like, just go do it. I've caught my biggest lake trout by not sleeping after work and just going out fishing with a conservation officer. And he was like, oh man, like, I can pick you up in the afternoon, like, get some sleep. And I'm like, nope, this is the plan. Let's go. Follow through with whatever you're doing. Because that's when the magic happens. And the more time you spend out on the ice, the more time you spend out in the bush, you're going to see that magic, right? And you're going to see people say, yeah, right. Yeah, right, guys, that happened. You saw 10 moose. Like, no, we actually did see 10 moose because we were out grouse hunting and we were out in the bush. Where were you? Oh, you were on the couch. And I mean, obviously it's a double-edged sword because you have to be on the couch to watch me. And I have to be on the couch to edit and do this stuff, right? So it's a fine balance, right? There's also the last little thing. The first time I shot at a wolf, the video's on there. It's all documented. I don't know which episode of the Wolf Journey series that I have, but I'm sitting by that overturned tree in my whites. I shoot at a wolf. It's not on film, but I capture the after, like the pre, all my calls, howling to bring them in. The wolf comes in, I shoot it. Then I video myself like losing my bananas after. I totally missed the wolf, but whatever. But the thing is so I left that day very frustrated, and I was very early on in my wolf hunting career. And I was quite frustrated. I remember like going and talking to Rich and talking to my buddy Adam, be like, oh, I'm so pissed off. I did all this work for nothing. And I look back and it's like, no, man, like, all that work for a lot of things, right? You learn so much. Every little step in the bush is a learning and a lesson, right? Like Franklin says, follow the patterns of Mother Nature, or master the patterns of Mother Nature. That's what he always tells me. And so I get back and I'm frustrated, right? Excuse me. And it's early morning. Like, I was out there at dark. By the time I get back, it's like 10 a.m. So I'm sitting there having coffee with my buddy, and I go home and I'm like, you know what? I could have a nap right now. So I had a big breakfast, I had, bacon, eggs, whatever, got all fueled up. Ended up going to Richard's shop, buying some more ammo, just getting stuff dialed in. I think I ended up helping him chip his ice shack out that day. And I ended up going back to my bait site after I shot off a round from a 303 and missing that wolf. I didn't want to go back, but I did. And that was that time, as in the beginning of this live stream, when I said where I park my sled on the point and I walk about a kilometer into that bay. I walked in and there was a wolf standing there smelling the ground. Again, maybe it was a scavenger wolf, maybe a lone wolf, maybe it was a part of the pack that hit that bait. And he's standing there in the middle of this bay. Like, what are the chances, right? And that's what I mean. If I hadn't have made that time and put the effort in to go out a second time that day and put the time in, I would never have. And of course, like, I hit that wolf and I ended up bum rushing him again. And yeah, I didn't end up. I actually tracked him for 3 days. And me and my buddy Adam went and tracked him for a day. I tracked him for 2 prior. We did find quite a bit of blood, but at one point it just stopped and then he was long gone. So he's still alive somewhere. But yeah, so I'm going to end it there. Just go out and do it. Get her done. Stick to the plan. And, like, just make sure you fulfill everything that you want to fulfill. And don't let those like intrusive thoughts of like, I want a nap, I should go home. Like, unless you're like deathly cold, obviously go home, warm up. But again, like I said earlier, get comfortable out there, make it your home. Like, you should want to go out and be comfortable at your bait site. And like, even if you have cell signal, put it on vibrate and just sit there. Like, maybe you're texting your girlfriend or your wife or your cousin or your whatever. Like, I used to send photos all the time to people and I was out in my bait site. So yeah, TAC3, like they say, shit doesn't happen if you're sitting on the couch. Amen. All right, you guys, you're all beauticians. Love you all. Sending lots of love your way. Stay safe, stay well, and follow up with an email if you want to chat more or need any more info on anything. Yeah, that's it. Have a good night.